Hi, welcome back to the A-List, your go-to place for lists relating to all things movies, TV, and music. I'm your host, Adam. Let's get right into it. Bong Joon Ho, I think, is my favorite working director right now. He is constantly surprising me. He is constantly reinventing what I think is even possible in storytelling. His latest film, Mickey 17, has been delayed time and time again, but it is finally upon us. I'm so happy it's finally here. I've been craving it. So, in honor of Mickey 17 finally coming out, this week's A-List, we are ranking Bong Joon Ho's filmography. Bong Joon Ho has 7 feature films, and so we will rank those starting at the bottom and working our way up to number 1. At number 7, Barking Dogs Never Bite. This was Bong Joon Ho's directorial debut. It is about an out-of-work college professor who is irritated by the sound of barking dogs in his apartment building, and he has resorted to kidnapping and killing them. Meanwhile, a woman in the complex decides to investigate. I want to be very clear before I get into this. All of his movies for me are like A minus at the lowest. Like, I still think this is a very good movie, but it just pales in comparison into what we get. It feels kind of safe for Bong Joon Ho. Granted, this was his first one at the time. How would we have known? But it feels safe in terms of his other films. You can really feel him getting a feel for the style he likes. You can really feel an artist developing in this, though, and that's really exciting to watch. An enjoyable time, but it does not reach the heights of his others and kind of gets a little lost in the shuffle. Number 6, Mother. Mother follows a mother who, after her intellectually disabled son is accused of murder of a young girl, attempts to find the real killer and get her son freed. This movie, I really feel the runtime. It does start to kind of run out of steam as we get to the conclusion. I find the conclusion to be very satisfying and it really stuck with me, but it does start to feel like a little bit of a slog to get there. Kim Hye-ja, who plays Mother, as she is credited, is stellar in this, though. She is fabulous. It's really impressive the way she navigates and carries this film so flawlessly. At number 5, Okja. Okja is about a young girl who raised a genetically modified super pig, and after she is taken to the United States, she goes on a mission to rescue the super pig from mistreatment at the hands of the meat industry. I think a lot of people kind of poo-poo this movie. I love Okja, but it does feel a bit heavier handed in its messaging and what it's trying to say comparatively to his other films. That being said, I do find it to be super effective, specifically emotionally. You really get invested in this fictional, genetically modified super pig named Okja. Really get invested in that journey, and I was like at the edge of my seat. I think they're really incorporating a lot of interesting ideas here. The way different entities kind of collide in this story with their agendas, and at the center of it is just this girl who wants her friend back. I think that's really interesting, but I do think it starts to get a little crowded. Performances across the board are really good. Jake Gyllenhaal is really goofy and weird in this, and I enjoyed it. I also liked Paul Dano as a leader of the Animal Liberation Front. I thought that was a lovely performance from him. At number 4, The Host. The Host is Bong Joon-ho's crack at a monster movie. It's about a vendor whose daughter is taken by a giant creature dwelling in the Han River, and it is just the journey for them to reunite and save the people from this creature's wrath. Really exhilarating, really well thought out thematically. I think the themes are crystal clear in this. They don't get too muddled, but they aren't heavy-handed where we're tripping over it. I think it has become even more relevant now in today's world. I watched this in lockdown, and I just think it like really hit like a truck. I think it has a lot to say about community care as well and how we show up for one another in times of crisis. Kang-ho, he's such an underrated performer, man. I know he's major in South Korea, but like I want him to have more international recognition. That man is so good in everything I see him in, and this one is no different. Just a really great performance that brings a lot of heart and depth to the monster movie. I also appreciate that Bong Joon-ho doesn't get lost in the sauce of the big spectacle. Like, it's never overkill on that regard either. Like, he really remains focused and lasered in on what he's trying to say in the story he's telling. Number 3, Snowpiercer. I have been told it's controversial I have Snowpiercer this high, but I just love this movie. This was the first Bong Joon Ho film I saw. It blew my mind. I think it's such a great commentary on classism. It's such a great dystopian film, and I think it only proves to be more and more topical as time goes on. Dare I say Chris Evans' best performance. It's got a stellar ensemble cast who are all excellent as well. From a production design standpoint, I think it's really cool that Train is filled with a lot of character itself, a lot of personality. I think it's so well done, and I love the way it shoots it. You can feel all the influences coming in, but it still feels like its own thing. I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. Number 2, Memories of Murder. This movie took my breath away. They did a re-release of it when theaters were starting to open back up again, and I rushed to it because it was so hard to find, and I was not disappointed. This is so spine tingling. It really gets under your skin in a way I feel like a lot of crime thrillers don't nowadays. Kang-ho again giving us an excellent performance, and he's aided by sang-kyung in this, and together they have like a remarkable chemistry. I think the way they play off of each other is really electric and really dynamic. I think it's a very tight thriller, but you can feel this like desperation pulsing through it, especially as the film carries on. It is really impressive the way he is able to like weave in that underlying tension without overdoing it or without like laying out all his cards on the table right away. It's so masterfully paced. It's so chillingly directed. Oh, he does such great work in this. Specifically one scene, I won't spoil it, but there is a scene where a character is walking alone, and it is stressful. I'm getting anxious thinking about it, so I'm going to move on. I know it's basic, but my number 1 is Parasite. I just always wish I could erase my mind and experience this movie for the first time again. It is so funny. It is so thoughtful in what it is saying about class and about how we maneuver these systems that we've been subjected to when it comes to capitalism. The performances are all great. Top to bottom, that cast is stacked, and I'm so glad they won Best Ensemble at SAG because it was so well deserved. Everybody is operating at a 10. Such a smart script, and the way like you never know where it's going, and about like halfway through it just completely becomes a different movie without ever feeling jarring or inconsistent or incoherent. It is so consistent in terms of its vision and tone, but it's able to feel like a million different things. This is one of those movies that makes me mad because I'll never be like smart enough to do something like that. I'm really excited to see Mickey 17. I will follow Bong Joon Ho into the abyss. I just think he is one of the greatest of our time. I'm so excited for many more movies from him. I really hope Mickey 17 is great. I really hope all these delays don't mess with it, or like that the studios don't meddle too much. I love him. I think him and Robert Pattinson together is like a dream. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the A-List. Make sure you do all the things you're supposed to do when it comes to a YouTube video. Subscribe, like, share, comment, the works, and I will see you next time.